We're in our third part of the series on the lives of Isaac and Rebekah. I want to talk about how God will allow you to experience famine to test you and prepare you for what he has next. Genesis 26, beginning in verse 1, it says, "Now there was a famine in the land, beside the previous famine in Abraham's time. And Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines in Gerar. The Lord appeared to Isaac and said, 'Do not go down to Egypt to live in the land where I tell you to live. Stay in this land for a while, and I'll be with you, and I will bless you. For to you and your descendants I'll give all these lands, and I'll confirm the oath I spoke to your father Abraham.'" What we find here is that Isaac is in a time of testing. If you remember in the life of Abraham, there was a terrible famine. Abraham did not have the faith to stay in the promised land, and he went to Egypt. All of a sudden, God allows a famine to come into the life of Isaac. Now, this is important. As I told you out of the book of Galatians, Isaac's a picture of grace, promises of God, supernatural inheritance. And as much as I believe in the grace of God, and I do, and God gives us all these wonderful gifts, he'll test you. There's going to be a famine. Now, why would God allow this famine to come into the life of Isaac? Why? In fact, he even told him to settle in the land of the Philistines, because he wanted to see if he would pass the test God did that Abraham flunked. Well, he passed the first part of the test, and that was, I'm not going to Egypt. I'm going to stay right here. But then he gave into fear, just like Abraham did. If you remember, Sarah was a very beautiful woman. And he told Sarah, he said, "Listen, tell everyone you're my sister, not my wife. I don't want to get killed having to defend you." Imagine the pain that brought to his wife. And what did Isaac did? He had enough faith not to run, but not enough faith to face his fear. He told his precious wife, he said, "Listen, tell everybody I'm your brother, not your husband. You're too beautiful." Now, why would God do that? Because God has to bring to the surface our deepest fears, our deepest pain. Some of you are saying, "Man, I grew up in a situation. I don't want to make the same mistakes as my dad. I don't want to make the same mistakes as my mom." The Lord in his wisdom will allow circumstances to come into your life to bring to the surface the very things that will either wreck your promised land or cause you to run from it if they're not dealt with. Some of you find yourself in a time of famine today. Work's not what you thought. Maybe church is not what you thought. Maybe a relationship is not what you thought. I'm going to run. I'm going to go somewhere. Trust me, if God's told you to stay, stay. If it's clear in his word, you should say, stay. Because God loves you enough. And what you're going to find in this story, this time of famine was preceded the greatest time of abundance in the life of Isaac. Why? Because God uses famine to till the soil of our heart. God uses famine to break our heart afresh. And as we move in faith, out of that famine comes tremendous abundance. Let me pray for you. Lord, I thank you for my Every Nation family around the world. Some of them are in a tough famine right now. Maybe it's something national in their country that's painful. Maybe it's at work. Maybe it's in their marriage. It's not what they expected. For some of them, they want to run. Others want to take things in their own hands, give in to fear. Right now, remind them that our greatest times of harvest are typically preceded by a time of famine. You expose the very things that will hurt the abundance you want to bring us. I pray you'd touch them. I pray you'd help them. And I pray, as Isaac did, we'd always seek you. Help us, Lord. Amen. Thank you very much.